If Niccolò Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be writing books, he wouldn't be tweeting, he wouldn't be posting his thoughts on social media. No, Machiavelli would be something far more elusive, something far more powerful. He'd be running empires, silently, invisibly, quietly pulling the strings behind the scenes, making his presence felt only when it mattered. He wouldn't be the one on the front page of every magazine or the viral figure everyone's talking about. No, he would be the one operating from the shadows, manipulating what others see, creating illusions, and watching as others unknowingly played into his hands. Machiavelli understood something fundamental about power. It's not about being seen, not about being heard. Power is about control. In a world obsessed with visibility, where everyone is eager to show their brilliance, to prove their worth, Machiavelli would have none of it. He would not rush to the front of the room. He would arrive last, observe first, and speak when no one expects him to, saying only what others fear to say. He would let them underestimate him, allow them to assume he's harmless, and in doing so he would hold all the power in the room without ever having to prove a single thing. Imagine this: you walk into a room and everyone is loud, everyone is competing for attention, trying to one-up each other with their ideas, their opinions. Machiavelli would sit back in silence, a quiet observer, never hurried to say something. He wouldn't need to prove anything. While others were busy trying to control the conversation, Machiavelli would bide his time, letting others reveal their cards, expose their weaknesses. And then, just as the tension peaked, when everyone had already invested in the conversation, he would speak, quietly, but with precision, and with such calculated timing that the entire room would be forced to listen. It's in that moment, when they believe you pose no threat, that you strike. And then, of course, there's the rule about charm. We live in an age where image is everything, where truth is often obscured by perception. Machiavelli knew this, even before the age of Instagram or Twitter. In a world where everyone is desperate to be seen as virtuous, to be admired, Machiavelli would have been the master of illusion. He wouldn't have spent time defending his integrity. No, he would have spent it building a facade so convincing that no one would ever question him. He'd charm, smile, and make everyone around him feel like they were winning, all while working quietly, silently, behind the scenes to rewrite the story. Charm, Machiavelli understood, is often more dangerous than truth. When everyone believes you are a friend, when they trust you completely, it becomes so easy to manipulate them, to influence them without their knowing. In a world where it's harder to trust anyone, Machiavelli would make sure no one ever questioned his loyalty. They would believe him to be their ally, even as he pulled their strings, all while convincing them that they were in control. But perhaps his most brilliant move would be his ability to create ambiguity. In a world where everyone is desperate to be understood, Machiavelli would leave people guessing. He'd shift between warmth and coldness, silence and speech, generosity and selfishness. Never enough to give away his true intentions, but just enough to keep everyone on edge. They'd be obsessed with trying to figure him out, analyzing every word, overthinking every interaction. And in that obsession, in that constant search for clarity, they would be trapped. Because the more they focused on him, the more they would miss the moves he was actually making. It's a psychological game, one that Machiavelli would have mastered effortlessly in today's world. When you control how people see you, when you create a perception that keeps them second-guessing, you control what they do. And when they're unsure, when they're obsessed with trying to figure you out, they lose control. And that's when you win. Then, of course, there's the rule about controlling what people see. In today's hyper-connected world, everyone is broadcasting their every move. People share their successes, their struggles, their plans, their dreams, all laid out for the world to see. But not Machiavelli. He understood that when you expose everything, you give your enemies the chance to prepare for your every move. They begin to anticipate, to strategize against you, and the moment they can predict your actions, you lose the upper hand. Instead, Machiavelli would keep his true plans hidden. He would make sure the world saw only what he wanted them to see. He would give the impression of transparency, of openness, while secretly pulling the strings, making moves in the shadows. Like a master puppeteer, he would appear to be a man of virtue, a man of integrity, while operating with ruthless efficiency behind closed doors. And when the time was right, when the pieces were in place, he would strike. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it would be too late. But even then, Machiavelli would not let his mask slip entirely. Perfection, he knew, is forgettable. It's the flaws that make you interesting. So, he would allow himself to appear perfect, calm, composed, and then, just once, let a crack appear. A sharp word, a subtle vulnerability, a calculated imperfection, just enough to make people think that there was more beneath the surface. And once they saw that crack, they would be hooked. They would become obsessed with what they couldn't see, with the mystery of who he truly was. It would drive them to search for answers, to keep watching, to keep guessing. And in that search, in that obsession, they would be under his control. Machiavelli understood the power of silence. The more you speak, the more you reveal. But the one who speaks with precision, who says just enough and leaves the rest in silence, holds the power. Silence is the weapon he would wield, and it would be far more powerful than anything he could say. When others talked too much, when they filled every space with their words, they revealed their insecurities, their need for validation. But Machiavelli would speak just enough, then let the silence work its magic. He wouldn't explain himself. He wouldn't try to make anyone understand. He would let the silence make them uncomfortable, make them anxious, make them wonder. And in that silence, he would be in control. And then, of course, there's the art of being both a threat and an ally at the same time. People love certainty. They want to know who's with them, who's against them, who's loyal, who's not. But Machiavelli would never give them that satisfaction. He would sit at the same table as his enemies, compliment them, build rapport, make them feel like allies, while secretly plotting their downfall. Why? Because when they believe you're neutral, when they believe you're harmless, that's when you strike. And by the time they realize what's happening, it's too late.